My name is Carlton Cartwright. I'm the Executive Director for Veterans Memorial and Multicultural Histories Incorporated. Today is the 18th of March, 2025. We're all here at Riviera Beach Preparatory Achievement Academy. I got three of my students with me. I've got Amari, Fastal, and Javante. Thank you. Okay, so, and sir, what is your name?
My name is Dr. Elvis Epps, U.S. Navy veteran.
And when is your birthday?
It's in September 1960,
Okay. And what city do you live in presently?
Royal Palm Beach.
Gotcha. All right. You served in the Navy, correct?
That's right.
And what year did you enlist?
1982,
How old were you at that time?
21.
21 years old. And where were you? Where?
When I enlisted or when I was stationed?
Where, when you enlisted? Where'd you grow up?
Oh, Jackson, Mississippi.
Gotcha. All right. Is that where you were when you decided to go into the Navy?
Yeah, I wasn't home. I was in college at Alcorn State University
Right.
as an all-conference high jump and mile relay guy. But
Oh, so you're already in college?
oh yeah, I was
think
in
you
college.
said you were 21 when you went in the service?
I was 21 when I joined. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So, so you were already in college before you went into service?
Yes.
And where was college again?
Alcorn State University. Some of you people on the East Coast call it Alcorn, but it's Alcorn State, home of the Braves.
Okay, okay. All right, and what year were you in? How far along had you gotten?
So I had finished my junior year.
Oh, you finished your
Full
junior?
ride scholarship. I had no debt. I just got bored with school. I needed a new challenge in my life. And I knew something that was going to put money in my pocket, get me out of a depressing situation, and that was Mississippi, a place where I can learn and grow it and be with people who could think big. I needed thought leaders and not people who were thinking small. I had a lot of people around me didn't have ambition, and so I had to break that chain, and I got away from it.
Why did you choose the Navy?
My dad served in the military. My brother was already in the Army. I wanted to do something different with my life.
Okay.
So that's why I chose.
So where was basic training?
San Diego, California.
And how long was basic training?
It was a good 10 weeks out there.
Okay. Tell us about it. What was it like? What were your peers like? What were your TIs like, your instructors?
Well, one of the great things about going out to boot camp, I was already in athletic condition because I was already a college athlete. And the running was easy, the swimming was easy. There's nothing strenuous about it. It's just the mind games they try to play on you. And I tell any young person, when you join the military, the first thing they want to do is shift your thinking. That's what boot camp is for. It's a culture shock because at 3 o'clock in the morning, they throw trash cans, wake everybody up, screaming and yelling, you running around. And so this is what they did.
I just want to interject about the trash can piece. You guys might be thinking like plastic. We talking like
Oh no, they're all aluminum.
Yeah, nice and
And
noisy.
all of them, they playing it. The first night they do that. They want to scare you, everybody run, you delirious, you don't know where you want to be. Also, that first 2 weeks of boot camp is a weeding out process. Those who can make it, those who cannot. Because once you get through those 10 weeks of shifting, first thing they do, they cut your hair. So you're not vain, you're not looking in the mirror at yourself. But you know it grows back. But after you get out of boot camp, you can grow it back, but not long. So you can keep it like my hair or this young man in the middle, you can grow it back, but it has to be tapered up a certain length. But it had to look real nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was the food?
Food was okay. I mean, it's all right. I grew up in Mississippi. You know, we grew up I grew up on a very modest type diet, nothing strenuous, or we didn't have steak and potatoes all the time. The food was good, but they would tell you on a lot of days, smell it and get out. And that means you don't have time to sit there and chit chat.
Right.
Because of my height, all the lines in boot camp, you start with the tallest to the shortest. And then even when you line up, tallest to the shortest. So I'm 6'2.5". And then if the guy was like 5'7", he's the last one to eat because you line up first, go in, and I will have more time. I will have at least 15 minutes. The guy in the back may have 3 to 5 minutes. So no time to chat, sit down, eat your food. As soon as you finish, you got to get back out and start back running.
So, yeah, let's talk about that physical regimentation. What was that all about?
Oh, you got to do a lot of running. It's a lot of run on the track, conditions, and then for those not in shape, they can enlist people who are marginal. They call it the Fat Boy Club. I don't know if they want Fat Boy Program. They don't want to call it that now, but it's a weight management. They want to call it now. But what they do, they give those guys who academically real sharp, they can operate computers. They would meet after hours to go into weight training, diet, to try to lose weight so they can meet the requirements for push-ups, sit-ups. You got to run, hang time. You have to do all of that. And the biggest thing that really, it wasn't the exercises that got to me. It was that that's the heat from the weather in Southern California.
Okay.
That was the first time my skin started to peel from just being hot and exposed to the sun every day.
Right.
So that's out there in San Diego. So
And it dry?
it was
hot?
dry, but my nose, the skin started peeling.
Humidity was,
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah. And so that was the only piece that really made it bad. But they've since closed that base in Great Lakes, Illinois. It's the only place they have a military for Navy now.
okay.
But the other biggest thing is you wake up first thing in the morning, you go to class. So the academics are not over. You still have to go to class. You got to take exams. They talk to you about weapons, guns, about the ship, the chain of command, how to fix your bed. So there are a lot of things you do. And everything they tell you or show you is for life on a submarine or life on a ship. Because you only get, I could tell you, and we'll get to it on the ship, that if from the tip of my elbow to the top of my finger, that's how much space between racks. Like bunk beds, you have one on the bottom, one in the middle, and the one on top. I took the one on top because I was tall, and I didn't want people leaning on my mattress all the time. So I took the one on top. But if you're on the one on the bottom, people like to sit, they'll sit on your mattress, and they can see what you have down there. So I was tall, so I can manage that. But that's all the space you get from that. So you got to get in that space. And if you have a gut or big, you limit on space. But I was tall, about 175 pounds at the time.
How tall are you anyway?
6'2" and a half.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, were there any casualties during basic training?
No, none at all. We just had some guys who tapped out, couldn't do it. They had to go because they weren't in condition. We had some guys who tried marijuana, it was going away. Oh, you're going off to the military. So he's smoking weed and probably sniffing whatever. And they drug test you as soon as you get in.
Right.
As soon as you get in, and then they kick you out. They test you again to make sure they got the first one right or wrong. And then if the second one come back positive, they ship you home.
Go on.
Yeah.
Tech school, was it the same place, within the same time frame?
Tech school was there. Yeah, they have something right there. After you finish boot camp, then they have tech school right after that. Some schools are a year long, some are 6 months. Mine wasn't that long, no more than a couple of months.
What was your MOS or AIT?
Purchasing, what they call it, logistics.
Oh,
But I went in the military to become an operations specialist. That's where I was headed. But I failed the eye exam. But I'm glad it was a blessing in disguise because it sounds great, operations specialist. But you get out to the ship and you realize you're sitting in a dark room looking at radars all for 8 to 12 hours.
wow.
And that's all. You have like 3 or 4 radar screens, and it's dark, and you're just staring at them. You have to determine if a ship is friend, foe, or neutral. And so it's red, white, and light green. And if you're tired, that light red and that green and white you can pick, but if you're tired, your eyes are like, man, all these looking the same. So I took that exam 2 or 3 times. I just told them, forget it. I don't need to take it again. But I'm glad I didn't get that because I like to move.
Right.
That one you have to sit for
Stay
8
still
on
all the
it
time.
and keep looking at the screen.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so, again, was that additional to?
That's addition to the training.
So
Yeah. Once you finish boot
How long was
camp,
that training?
uh,
What did you train in? You trained in logistics?
yeah, because I'm a genius, I didn't have to go. They offered me the school, but I told them if they show me what I needed to do, the school is 6 weeks long, and it's in Meridian, Mississippi. But when I saw what I was already doing, I just told them, show me what needs to be done, and I can get it done. So I made advancement real quickly, very quick. So
By the way, when you finally separated, what year did you separate?
off active duty in 1988,
Okay, what rank were you when you separated?
E6.
Okay, Okay,
Yeah,
just
I
wanna
was
go
an
back on
E3
the
in boot camp, E6 when I left, and 2.5 years I went up to an E5, which is quite fast.
Right.
But I would read the manuals, I would study, prepare for the exams, and on my first time taking, I passed them all.
Good
Yeah,
for you.
and so that's just gifted. So, and then the other thing, when I left San Diego, I went to Pascagoula, Mississippi. My ship was being built, and we went there. The ship, you could see it, but it's not ready to go out to sea
Right.
because they still building, working on it, put the engines and everything in. So we stayed at like a motel, hotel type place
Oh.
until they finished that. And then when it's finished, and then we flew up to Norfolk, Virginia. So Norfolk, Virginia was a place that I went to, and it was like barracks when I got there. And that was another culture shock because, you know, when I was in college, I had a roommate, and we had a big open, like, bathroom, showers and stuff.
Right.
But when you get in the military and you stay in barracks, it's a big old room with bunk beds, and you got a locker. So you always got to watch your stuff, and you got guys you've never seen before. But everybody's new assigned to the ship. So, but we only stayed there for a short time. Then we went back to Pascagoula, Mississippi, to get on the ship.
Right.
And then what I'm called a plank owner. A plank owner, if you were the first crew members to be assigned on this ship, they call it plank. Planks are what they used to build ships out of, for those who don't know, wood. And you have planks aboard. So a plank owner is just a traditional military Navy term for you the first crew members of this ship. And a ship usually lasts about 30 years in operation before they decommission them. So in March of 1983, they commissioned the ship, the USS Haler, and then we rowed the ship up to Norfolk, Virginia, and that was the first time I got seasick. Man, I've never been on a ship before. So I ate some oranges and I think cereal, and then when the ship doing, you know,
Yeah.
everything in your stomach doing that too. And
Yeah.
once I threw up, I was fine, and I knew what to do the next 4 years, the remainder of those 4 years.
Okay.
Don't drink orange juice, don't eat orange, eat something solid.
Right.
Yeah, so that was fine.
Gotcha. So now you're on your first duty base, which is a destroyer,
Yeah.
right?
I'm
How
assigned
long
to-
was that? How long was that tour
No, it's 4 years you're assigned
to that ship?
to that ship.
Gotcha.
So my job was 4 years, and after that, we traveled a lot of places. The first place we went, my first place, as far as after all the tests and kicking the tires, we went to the Bahamas. Then we went back to Puerto Rico and Cuba for drills. Then you go back to Norfolk. They test all the equipment out. They make sure everything's working, and then we hit some more places down in the Caribbean. And then the last, we went to, trust me, I've been to Martinique, Barbados, St. John, St. Croix. Went to a lot of places in the Caribbean.
Right.
And then the big one, we went to the Indian Ocean, the Mediterranean Sea. First place was Spain, Benidorm and Mallorca, Spain. And then we went to, we out at sea for the next 60 days. And then that's in the Indian Ocean. And that's the loneliest tour any Navy wants to take on a ship because there's nothing out there. So before you get there, you have to go through the Suez Canal,
Right.
and then the Red Sea, and then you get into the Indian Ocean, and then you just tour from there. And so we went up to the Persian Gulf. We went to Karachi, Pakistan, and then right after Christmas we went to Singapore for a whole week.
Okay.
And then we just hit a lot of places. Did Spain again, rode to Spain. But we left in October. We didn't return until the last week of, the first week in April. So.
Okay, so were you ever in combat?
No, we just went. I went in a hostile environment that was the Persian Gulf.
Okay.
We were pretty quiet during that time. Yeah, there was no war going on in the States, so between the United States and any other country.
So within all the places that you visited, what was it like? What were the people like? What was the economy like at that time in the various, locations?
Yeah, to put everything into perspective, when you said, how was it? It was great for the black man. Everybody loved and respected us. It was bad for the white guys, every place, because everybody called them Yankees. And if they saw us, they called us friends of the devil. And I'm like, I was in the Caribbean, somebody called us friends of the devil. And I'm like, I'm sorry, why you don't even know me. I'm from Mississippi, what are you trying to say now? But what they were saying, they associated the white man as the devil.
Right.
And we're walking around with our shipmates. You know, they're cool, they haven't done anything wrong to anybody.
Right.
So that's what if they saw us walking with them, then they figure we are just like them. And so that's the negative perception that the world, a lot of places around the world have of American citizens, especially white military guys. As far as blacks, I've been to a lot of places and been invited and welcomed. The friendliest place that I attended was Singapore. The people were so friendly, I thought they were up to something, but they were just so nice.
Really?
The second place was Japan. I went to Tokyo. Tokyo is beautiful, great place to visit. The prettiest place to visit, Singapore was lovely, but Martinique, the island of Martinique was beautiful, and Barbados. Those were the most beautiful places. And Martinique had the prettiest women, and Dominican Republic had a lot of beautiful women as well. As far as the sights and scenery, you buy whatever you want. You got to be careful what you buy. And so those are some of the beautiful places and the friendlier places. The food was good. I got sick when I ate a hamburger over in Spain.
Really?
I don't know if it was cow or bull from bullfighting. I'm like, okay, so what do they do with the bulls once they kill them? So anyway, I was sick. I was in Spain because I wanted to get off and see. So I had 2 days. We were in Spain for 4 days. So I had 2 days of really seeing everything, but the other 2 days sick to my stomach. But the food was good. You have to try some things. And they tell you don't eat the ice because a lot of the water filtration, they don't have very good water filter. The saddest place I saw, one of the saddest places, I was in Karachi, Pakistan, and you would drive down and you would see a lot of the kids out in the river, stream, they bathing and stuff, and then you can see the animals in the same water and stream. So this is where they taking baths. You know, they're not nude or anything, but they out there in the water bathing and cleaning up. And they got animals, cows, and out there as well. And so it's just one of those things that when you see how life is, I wish every kid in America can just leave the United States and just see how bad other kids have it around the world, and they will shut their mouths big time because what we consider poor here is upper class in a lot of places.
Right.
They don't have electricity, they don't have shoes, one pair of pants if that. And they got to make it. They got to hustle every day for their food. So it's not like they have a refrigerator. There's no refrigerator. So they got to hustle. So if you're going to eat, you got to go kill, catch, and clean. And so school is not a priority in some of the places I visited. If you go to school, you got to pay. There are a lot of places, it's not like free education.
Right.
You got to pay. And so there are a lot of things that really open your eyes when you travel. And that's why it helped me as when I finally left the military and became a teacher. There was so much I could bring to the classroom and share with my students. And then when I became a principal over 20 years ago, I was able to lead and want my students to be exposed and to see the world. Because I tell everyone the world is not flat. Get out there and travel and see. Don't be afraid. And I don't care what people say about terrorists, but the bottom line about a terrorist, they want to terrorize you into believing that if you do anything outside the ordinary, you're going to die. I said, fool on them, because I serve a risen Savior. I'm telling you, I'm not worried about nobody trying to blow up my plane.
Gotcha.
And so they don't play the mind tricks. So the military played a wonderful role in helping me get out. The great benefits I really walked away with, they paid. I was going to college while I was in. Remember I told you I left after my junior year in college. Full ride scholarship. So I enrolled in some military courses while you're on the ship. You can still take classes. So I enrolled in Arizona State University while I was away. And then when I was in Norfolk, I enrolled in Norfolk State University. So I got some courses work done. So when I finally wrapped up everything, I finished at the University of Central Florida and in Orlando. They took all the coursework I had, took everything, and I was able to finish and started teaching shortly after that. But it was a wonderful benefit that when I did get out, well, when I left the ship, I went to Patrick Air Force Base in Cocoa Beach. Before that, I was at Shepherd Air Force Base for a 6-week training on air cargo handling. So I didn't, just had to get everything off. So, but there was a lot of life lessons I picked up, and that's one of the things. Don't let anyone outwork you. Don't sit around and complain about being lazy. If you think you have a hard time getting up, the military is definitely not the place, because you're going to get up early. When I was in Japan, there's no adjusting the clock. The sun would rise at 4 o'clock in the morning. The sun will go down at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So at 5 o'clock, it's pitch black. So, and my first night there, my first morning in Japan, I had woken up, I'm hearing all this outside I'm on the second floor, but I hear all these Marines out there doing exercise. I'm like, what in the world? It's 4:30 in the morning, and the sun just as bright as it is in Florida at noon. It was bright. And I'm like, what is going on? They said, this is time to get up. So they get up early anyway, but now it's sunshine, it throws your body off.
Right, I'm sure.
Yeah, it threw my body off. And then the biggest thing is by the sun setting between 3:45 and 4 o'clock every day, pitch black. And so, but anyway, those are the things that I experienced when I traveled.
Did you ever have any problems staying in touch with your family while you were on active duty?
Oh, yes, I did. Yeah, when you're traveling around the world, you have to, back in the days, see, they have technology now. We didn't have all of that when I was their age. You had to call on a phone. Someone would have to accept your long distance call, which was about $3 a minute. Well, what I got in the habit of doing is writing letters and sending postcards.
Right.
And so you would get a letter. When you got a letter, you felt good because somebody wrote you. You can get a letter from a friend or mom. Somebody will send you letters or a care package, a box with pictures and cookies and stuff in it. So that was pretty fun to receive. So that's the way you stayed in touch.
And I know that you, from all those places you've been, you had a lot of good food.
I was very picky. I didn't eat a lot. I didn't eat a lot. Like I said, I was 175, 80 pounds tall with a 32-inch waist.
You maintain that?
Oh, yeah. I continued to athlete. I was continuing to play basketball with the military. I had an opportunity to go to the all-Navy camp in basketball. And every base has like what they call like a recreation, like track meets and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I would win those, everything I was in. So that was fun. I stayed in shape doing that and played basketball. Even long after I left the military, I still stayed in shape.
You feel like you had all the supplies that you needed throughout your military service?
Oh, everything. Everything I needed plus more.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the other great things, I had a car. And matter of fact, I always had 2 cars. But if your car break down, and you don't want to take it to someplace and leave it, every base has what they call, and you're probably familiar with this, like the auto shop on base where you can take the car and do the work yourself.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, you can get the tools, whatever you need. There's somebody always in the shop to tell you how to change a starter out. You just buy the part, and you need a lift, and they'll coach you, you want to do this. So I changed some things on my car, even sanded my car down and painted a different color. I took it to the paint shop. So it was pretty good. Yeah.
Give me 2 of your most memorable experiences in your military career.
When I was in Singapore, I got a chance to meet some of the people. They were so friendly and nice. I really enjoyed that. And so just that experience of being in Singapore during that Christmas time. See, where we have the 8 reindeer behind it, in front of the sleigh with Santa Claus, they will have, I think they had 12, because they used the year of an animal, the pig, the rat, the goat, the snake. They had those symbols as they were pulling the sleigh. Instead of reindeer, they had different animals that represented their beliefs. Where they, every year they have something. So that was very eye-opening, and just how beautiful and peaceful and quiet Singapore was. The second thing was, I was in Hawaii, and we had a chance, no, it wasn't Hawaii, Panama Canal. We were in Panama, Cologne, Panama. And we had to pull the USS Nautilus, which was an old submarine. And it was historic because it was one of the first nuclear power submarines.
Right.
I think that was to my knowledge. And so we pulled that from Panama all the way up to Newport, Rhode Island, to the submarine base up there. So that was pretty cool, just watching the sub. You couldn't go in, and we were just towing it. And so just going up to Singapore, from Panama, and towing this one of the historic submarines, so it can be like a landmark, something there in Rhode Island. That was pretty interesting as well.
Okay. Okay. How did you get along with, well, you were a non-commissioned officer, right?
Non-commissioned.
Right. How did you get along with commissioned officers?
Got along. We didn't mingle much. They had their little place to eat, and all the enlisted had ours. If I saw them, it was out of respect. You salute them. And so, but it was no interacting, business was business.
Right.
And then when the day was over, they went their way, we went ours. We played sports together. Basketball, we'll go running together. So we would do those things, but outside of that, yeah, no. Just a lot of respect for one another.
Okay. So where were you when you separated?
I was in Orlando, Florida.
Okay. So what was your plan going forward after the service?
Well, finishing up my degree, which I did. Matter of fact, 6 months after I left the Navy, I got married. I had money saved up, had an apartment, I had enough money. I bought all the furniture in my apartment. It was 2 bedrooms for like $245 a month. And so I bought all the furniture, paid cash for that, still have money saved up.
Right.
And so I was looking, trying to find a job. And so I found a job, but I also went back to school and finished up my degree.
Used the GI Bill?
Used the GI Bill, yeah, and that paid. Matter of fact, I used that and the new GI Bill for my master's degree. So I got 2 degrees from UCF, my undergrad and my master's.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what'd you major in?
Education.
Okay.
Educational leadership. They paid for that. So the military was very good when it comes to keeping their promise on you serve your time, you get your education. And every college campus has a military representative.
Right.
that will help you pay for all this stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So where did you go to school when you got out? And where did you go when you got out of the service? Did you come to Florida or back to Mississippi?
I stayed in Orlando.
Oh, in
I went to
Orlando.
University of Central Florida.
Okay. And that's where you graduated?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So where did you start teaching?
93. They had a hiring freeze right after I finished my degree.
Huh.
Orlando had a hiring freeze for teachers for 2 years, and when they opened it, that's when they called me to come in for an interview. So I came in, got the interview, and started the job right away. And it was so funny that I got the job, and it was working in alternative education, which I didn't know. The principal interviewed me downtown, not at a building, not at a school. So when I walked on the first day, I had a blazer on and shirt and tie, and so I go to this building, and it says the Orlando Juvenile Detention Center, and so it was with alternative ed, but these are the kids who were locked up. And so it was just crazy the way it worked out, but that was 30 years ago. And
Right.
so, but I just fell in love with teaching because I started out with all young men in my classroom, but all these guys were in juvenile jail outfits. But every last one of them had a story, and I didn't base judgment on anything. Trust me, I had enough family members to go to jail and prison not to cast judgment. But everybody had a story, and until you get to know someone, to really know who they are, if you don't know their story, then you don't know anything. So the military helped me with getting along with people, meeting people from different backgrounds, and that was fun. And so the greatest thing, the third biggest thing I gained from the military is a band of brothers that would die for you. You don't find that now, and I'm talking about 42 years later, we're still just as close as we were when we were on the ship. We get together once a year, and it's about 20 of us get together every year. This year we're going to meet at Myrtle Beach. Last year was Norfolk, Virginia. The year before that was in Dover, Delaware, and then the year before that was back in Norfolk. So everybody get together and they celebrate. Everybody's turning 60. They are much younger than me. Not much, but younger than me because I was already there when a lot of them came. But we still close as brothers today, 40 years later.
A lot of camaraderie.
Big time.
Mhm.
And you need anything, and a lot of them have gone through drugs, jail, homelessness, divorce, death, loss of a spouse, and we're there to support and help them. But through it all, they come together and they all have a story to share. And that's one of the things I could tell you, that there's nothing like the band of brothers you serve with in the military. And you stay close because you have a lot to talk about.
I believe you just recently retired from the educational system.
Yeah, in 2022,
And
August.
how many years were you
30.
principal in education?
Principal, 20 years. Assistant principal, 20 years. 10 years as a teacher and dean.
So 30 years, wow, congratulations.
Well, thank you there.
And what was the total number of years you served in the Navy?
I served 6 active and 6 reserves.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay, oh, so you did 12.
I did 12, yeah.
Okay, good job, good job. Couple more questions. Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or about the military in general?
Not really. Yeah,
Meaning?
most guys don't really go in the military thinking about war.
Mm-hmm.
They think about gaining an opportunity to grow, develop, find some consistency and purpose in their life. Only a few guys looking to find somebody they can shoot and kill, and you know who they are on your ship because you don't deal with them because they're crazy. But we get together, man. It's like we need a job. We get a job, and we want to build some skills, put money in our pockets, get a trade, get some skills that are transferable. So when we get out of the military, we can use that in the civilian world to get a job and go back to school. So the perks for joining the military are great, but all the other thing is, you just really just do your 4 years. Some guys will do 4 and get out, and I did 6.5. I said 6, but 6.5 years I did on active duty, and I enjoyed it. And the reason why I got out because I was getting married, and I know that marriage, especially with a young man getting married and going out to sea, doesn't match well. So
Okay.
that's just being separate. I believe when you're married, you need to be at home with your wife.
Right.
So that was my belief and still is today.
Last question. How did your service and experiences affect your life?
It took my life to the next level. I became a man when I was in the military. I was already of age to be considered an adult, but I couldn't define what manhood was. And having to learn how to shave, my dad never taught me how to shave, never spoke to me about shaving,
Right.
but how to clean myself and wash myself and make manly decisions, how to talk to a woman, not just a lady sitting over there.
Right.
And so I had to learn all these things growing up. And so the work habits, learning how to take responsibilities for my own actions was very important for me as a military, as a man becoming. And so taking care of my mom, making sure she was very proud of me, which she always has been. But I wanted to do something where I knew that one day when I became a father, my children, my daughter who's 31 years old tomorrow, and my other one will be 29 in June, that one day I could tell them the stories and they'll be very proud. So my track record, because I could tell people anything, you don't have to have a lot of money. You may not have a lot of money, but I honestly tell any young person, you do have a name. They will always remember your name, whether you're a millionaire or you lose it, you go back. Because 75%, 80, 90% of guys who went to the NBA or NFL,
Right.
made all this money, they poor, but we still know their name. So your name is one thing you're gonna always have with you. And so your name is something that you have to cherish, that everything happens, you have to make sure you protect it, you have to build on it, and when people speak on your name, they speak in words of wisdom, and they're saying something positive. That's what I had to take through the military. You will see a lot of people want to make bad decisions. Guys want to smoke this. Guys want to say, let's go and mess with these married women. You're like, no, that's not me. So you have to protect your name. So if they ever come up with something stupid, the last name Epps wouldn't be mixed in that mix. So that's one thing I walk away with as having the will and the willpower to know who I was, to stand by that, to make some great decisions, And those military trainings and leadership, knowing how to make decisions, quick decisions, helped me to be an outstanding principal. And so those are the things that help me in life. Yeah. And everybody can't handle that because they want to try to tell you to take your parameters down. But I tell everyone, no, you keep them up, because where you are today is just like the shuttle. The shuttle goes off, and everybody sees the little what they call pralines or whatever fall off, the little rocket, and they fall off. Once the fuel is gone,
Stages.
yeah, you have some friends, they can only go so far with you, and then they fall by the side. But guess what? That shuttle is still going.
Right.
So I encourage everyone to be a rocket, because some friends will fall off because they can't handle the altitude that you're going.
Right.
And you have to be sharp, and you have to keep going in spite of. And when you finish, you'll say you did a great job. And so that's what I do. And I have friends who encourage me, and I encourage them. So the military really paid off. I'm glad I joined, and I would do it all over again if I had a choice. If I was young again, knowing what I know, I would join again without missing a beat.
That makes two of us. You guys got any questions for Dr. Epps? We good? I want to thank you. You got a question?
Bob, I'm trying to like think of how to word it. You said you were a principal for how many years?
20.
Did you like also did like teaching as well? Was just
Yeah. To have the eligibility to become a principal, you have to teach at least 3 years. I taught 7 years, and then I was a dean for 4 years, and then I was a principal for the remainder of those years.
What subject did you teach?
I was my certification, middle school social studies,
Okay.
and algebra 1.
Oh,
Yeah.
What all schools did you teach at?
Well, they were in Orlando. I started out in alternative ed for 7 years. I loved it. I met some great kids. I met some kids, wrong place, wrong time. I had some kids standing near somebody who had a gun. They got the same charge as the person holding the gun. They tell me how this system works. And I had this girl was an honor roll student. She's in the car, her boyfriend's dealing drugs. And then she was just so innocent, the judge just let her go. But she had to come to the juvenile detention center for about 3 or 4 days, and then she went back. But it's on her record that she had drug charge, and she just couldn't believe it. And because I tell all the young people, be careful where you go and who you hang with, because if you have plans to do some great things, they're gonna ask you, have you ever been arrested? Do you have a felony? And they will pull it up. So if you lie, they will get it. So, it's just one of these things. So you have to be a teacher. So I taught for seven and a half years, and I'm still applying for principalship. And I just kept going, even though people said, no, it's not good enough. Oh, no, we don't want it. That didn't deter me. I kept going. And so after that, and then I became principal in Orlando. From Orlando, I got the job as principal at Florida State University. Florida State has a K-12 school, and a lot of the professors would send their kids, and state representatives would send their kids, chiefs of police. We had kids all kind of backgrounds. So I was principal there for 2.5 years. And then from there, I came to Palm Beach County, and I worked in the district office in what they call professional ethics. I was the guy who would go out to investigate any allegations of wrongdoing. A teacher did something wrong to a student. Students, not the student, but the principal said something wrong or did something wrong. So I was the one investigating principals and teachers and district leaders. They got in trouble. And then the superintendent asked me would I go over to Lake Worth High School and finish out the year, because some things happen. I said, no problem. If that's where you need me, I said, I'm a military guy. If those are my new orders. And so that turned out to be 5.5-year journey, which was just awesome. I'm glad I did that.
Well, I want to thank you very much for
Thank you for having me.
Great interview. Yes, sir. And also I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir.